I'm pretty sure I know who you're going to bring up, and that's who I would bring up too. But I'm going to go to OG Anunoby really quick, just because
Okay.
his last
Yeah,
two
let's
games
do
have
it.
been unreal. I think OG is, and I tweeted this last night. It's going to be tough for the Raptors. Like I think the Raptors are going to go on a nice run here because Pascal is back and he looked incredible again last night. Um, but I think they need to be like pretty substantially above 500 to get two All Stars, just by virtue of how it typically has worked, and with how loaded the Eastern Conference can be in terms of front court players right now.
Yep.
But like we last week we talked about OG's defense. That's been amazing. He just absolutely uh, beat the assault. That's the wrong way to put it. Like he was fantastic against Luka. I think that was the best I've seen somebody defend Luka one on one in a long time.
Well, and they had a great strategy too. They
Yeah,
blitzed him all the time. Like they just constantly blitzed him and made other guys on Dallas beat them. And I think that I feel pretty good about the fact that no one else on Dallas can beat
yeah, yeah.
them.
Exactly. And then you take last night against the Cavs, and Donovan Mitchell just had his worst game of the year because OG Anunoby guarded him the entire time. Like, OG is really fun because to me, he kind of makes you rethink the idea of screen navigation sometimes. Because, like, he can obviously navigate screens at his size, but it's more so like he just can't be screened because he's
Yeah.
so strong. Like, he has, and I think part of it, it's tough because it'll always depend on how a ref is calling things, but he's just adept at like leaning into screens and taking them away, like getting into somebody's center of gravity, blowing it up with an arm bar, and taking away whatever space was just created. Like if he needs to swim underneath something, he's back around and he has this massive wingspan. So if he knows Donovan Mitchell likes to snake a screen, like, okay, I'll just fight underneath this really quick and I'm right in front of you again. Or I'm going to get back over top and I'll have my hand right behind you. But more importantly, like Robin Lopez was trying to screen him yesterday, and OG's just blowing everything up.
Yeah.
Like they had nothing for him, and part of it they really missed Jared Allen. To be fair, like the Cavs were missing guys, but so are the Raptors. His defense, and even then, like okay, so you know that OG is going to be defending him. You try and get going and pick and roll, can't get anything going. Eventually, you just try and force switches, get him out of the way. But then he's blowing things up, coming over from the weak side and helping at the nail or helping as the low man or just doing anything to come in and muck things up in the paint. And I just think he's hit the point as a defender where he is so like you can't, even if you try and scheme him out of things, you can't. He's just so active, and his timing and ability to just destroy everything for an offense is unreal at this stage. But then you take the offense. I think he's finally hit that blend right now where his drive game is just, if he catches somebody on an island, is able to take them baseline, and even if you wall him off at the rim, okay, I'm going to shoot to the corner, I'll shoot to the slot. Maybe I'll find that guy in the dunker spot, or I'm just going to go through you because I'm really strong. And even though his balance still kind of sucks, that's like the biggest issue for him right now as a
Yeah.
finisher. Like he's so strong. He's able to draw the fouls. His mid post game is really good. The shooting is fantastic. Like he doesn't even have to do that much while being effective because he's such a good player just within a system. And again, I think he's somebody who will, of course, get. It's going to be hard to get him on just by virtue, like unless Toronto goes on a massive run here, just by virtue of how loaded the Eastern Conference is and having his teammate above him who has been playing at like a borderline MVP
Right.
level. But I mean, he'd be on my short list for sure. He's been awesome.
Yeah. So just to like name names here. So like Giannis, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, Joel Embiid, Pascal Siakam, Kevin Durant. That's six.
That's
Like
pretty
in the
tough. Yeah.
front court wing range. Uh then we would put James Harden ahead of OG, right?
Yeah. I mean, games played is going to matter for sure. But yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So Harden, Trey Young, Tyrese Halliburton, Donovan Mitchell, that's 4. That gets you to 10. Then it's like obviously like I think you probably have to have Bradley Beal this year, right?
Yeah. I think so. Again, it's going to depend what happens with the Wizards because that team
Yeah.
feels, yeah, they're in a weird spot.
So that's 11, and then you're into like Darius Garland, OG
And
Anunoby,
Bam, we didn't even mention Bam, did we?
Bam Adebayo,
Bam's been
Brooke
awesome.
Lopez. Jimmy Butler is another name we haven't mentioned yet,
Yeah.
and at some point he will get in the mix to this, you would think. So it's just going to be hard. The East
Yeah.
is very loaded this year, and this is without saying DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and guys like that as well. Even though I don't think I could really get a Bulls guy on right now, as much as I love DeMar DeRozan. So it's going to be a loaded class for sure. I don't quite think OG can get there, but man, has he been good. He like the defense, the scoring ability, it's all come together into being maybe the best role player in the NBA. And maybe we talk about like Mikal Bridges next with this, because Mikal Bridges is probably the second best player on the Phoenix Suns right now. Like, I don't even know that it's I mean, look, like if you just want to give like the auto, it's Chris Paul answer because Chris Paul is who he is, I would get that. But like
this season's been Mikal, yeah.
I think it's pretty clearly been Mikal if we're being real about it. And they are 14-6, second best team in the league right now. So, or third best team, I guess, behind Boston as well. So do they get 2 All-Stars for being the best team in the West?
Probably. I see my thing. If it was up to me, I don't love doing it that way. I think it's just I want the best players on. But yeah, he would be. I mean, and that's even noting like that's my preference normally. Like I would consider him for sure. He's been awesome. We talked about him recently in terms of just what his leap as a scorer has been. Even if the numbers don't like look massive, it's been sizable and felt on court. Last night was one of the best games I think he's ever played. He was so good. And that's my favorite. If you didn't get to watch last night's game, that's my favorite NBA game I've watched this year. Suns Kings was fantastic.
Really? I have not watched that.
Oh, it was a blast. Mikal took Fox out of the game just about. It was incredible. Like that was Fox's worst performance of the year probably. And a large part was because Mikal was just stapled to him. And then on offense, he was so good attacking second side, just being really active off drives. I think he had 7 or 8 assists last night. Really just got to see his playmaking and got to see him be really aggressive getting downhill and getting into the paint. Really fun game from him. And he would definitely be on my all-star consideration right now.
Yeah, so Mikal Bridges is averaging 16, 5, and 4, shooting, let's see the numbers here, 53, 44, 87. That is obscene. That is absolutely obscene. While being one of the 3 best perimeter defenders in the NBA, along with OG and Drew Holiday, I guess I would say would be the other guy that like immediately stood out to me. Is there anyone else that really like truly jumps out? Maybe Marcus Smart.
Yeah, I think that would probably be it.
Yeah. So that's your group regardless. So I think that we have to throw him in, if only because he's the second best player on the second best team or on the third best team in the league, including being the best player on the second best player on the Phoenix Suns, who are the best team in the West right now.
Actually, also just to go back, I would have Herb in that group for sure. Herb Jones is in that group without question.
Herb Jones. Yeah, for sure. That's a good call. I don't know, man. Like, I wish that we gave more love to these guys that are just like any smart team in the league would treat these guys like not superstars, but just like that level below. Like, I think that both Mikal and OG have been like clearly better than someone like Zach LaVine this year, or someone that's like a primary scorer, but hasn't necessarily had his best year. I would prioritize them over those guys. I mean, like here's another one. Like, so Cleveland, right? Like, would you go OG Anunoby or would you go like Darius Garland or Evan Mobley or Jarrett Allen?
I probably have OG right now over
I
Darius.
agree with you.
Darius is like, I think Darius has been looking like Darius has had a really good season, but his efficiency has just dipped. And I think part of that's been dealing with the eye. But I just based on the year, I would have OG over him.
I would agree with you. You definitely have those guys over Jalen Brunson, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of my honorable mentions, though. I gotta say, like Jalen has been awesome this year. The defense has been really rough, but what he's done offensively has impressed the hell out of me. I personally just did not think this was super doable for him, and I was wrong.
Yeah,
and he's been awesome.
Then DeJounte Murray as well, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't have him as an all-star this year.
I agree with you. So I don't know. Like, I think OG again. Okay, OG, or I would go OG over Miles Turner as well.
Definitely, yeah.
OG or Brooke Lopez?
That's where it gets tough because
That's a
Brooks
tricky
just
one.
been, yeah. I think that's where it would probably come down to record, honestly. And so I think I would probably lean Brook right now, just because
Yeah.
he's been what I would consider him the second best player on Milwaukee right now. The way that he's played, the way that Drew has played. Yeah. So yeah, I think that again, it's more of a toss up, but yeah.
And then Tyrese Maxey, like definitely OG, right?
Yeah. I think Maxi's been really good this year, but again, like when you just look at what everything is in the East, I think he's going to be a guy who probably struggles to make the All-Star team unless um, something really changes up, especially because he's missed time too now.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.